Amenotejikara. This is a space-time jutsu that belongs to Sasuke Uchiha. First, let's talk about where it comes from. This ability was gifted to Sasuke by the Rinnegan, which he got from the Sage of Six Paths. And just from the name alone, you already know it's not some average move. The core mechanic of Amenotejikara is super simple, but crazy dangerous. It lets Sasuke swap positions. He can switch places with anything in space, an object, a person, you name it. And here's the wild part. He doesn't even need to see it directly. Just imagine having this power. You're facing off against an enemy, and in the blink of an eye, you and their weapon suddenly switch places. They're totally confused, and you're already in the perfect spot to land a clean hit. That's the beauty of Amenotejikara. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but in Sasuke's hands, it becomes the ultimate weapon for someone who fights with precision, speed, and brains. Now let's talk about how Sasuke actually uses this in battle. And honestly, it's like watching a master strategist at work. First, it's both offense and defense. Sasuke can dodge almost any attack instantly by swapping places. It's basically a perfect shield, because how do you block something that doesn't even stay in place? Next, he can set up deadly traps. Sasuke can switch with any nearby object to trick his enemies. Imagine someone grabs him and charges forward, thinking they've got him, but at the last second, they're the one tied up instead. That's genius level bait. It's all about turning weaknesses into opportunities. Controlling space is always a huge advantage in combat. Sasuke can move objects or people into his line of sight, pull weapons straight into his hand, or even redirect an attack. Picture this. He fires a lightning jutsu, and right before it lands, he teleports the enemy into its path. There's no time to dodge. Of course, every jutsu has its limits. The range isn't unlimited. The target has to be close enough, and if they're fast enough, they might escape before the swap activates. Back when he first got the Rinnegan, Sasuke had to wait a few seconds between each use. Overusing it even made his eye bleed, which honestly just made it look even cooler. But now, as an adult, he can still use Amenotejikara even with a weakened Rinnegan. That just shows how skilled and experienced he's become with this power. Hold up, we're getting super close to 19,007 subscribers, and our next big goal is to reach 25,000. If you enjoyed this video, found it informative, or just had fun diving deeper into the world of Naruto with us, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Every single click from you is a huge motivation for our team. It's what keeps us going, creating even better and more detailed content. Thank you so much for supporting AnimeZONE. Now, Flying Thunder God Technique. If you think Naruto is the fastest in the entire universe because he dodged Madara's Light Fang attack, then you need to hear about a jutsu that literally makes even light speed look slow. It's called the Flying Thunder God Technique, the jutsu that turned Minato Namikaze into the legendary Yellow Flash and made the entire ninja world absolutely terrified of his name. Here's the thing most people get wrong about this jutsu. It's not about speed, it's about breaking the laws of physics. Light travels, right? That means even if you're as fast as light, you're still moving from one point to another. But this jutsu, there's no movement. There's just instant arrival. Tobirama Senju created this technique. It lets the user place a special seal, basically a death mark, on anything they touch. Once the seal is there, they can teleport to that spot instantly, no matter the distance. Even dimensions don't matter. Think about it like this. You touch someone once, and from that moment on, they're carrying a silent death ticket. You can pop up right next to them anytime, anywhere, even if they're on the other side of the world. Terrifying, right? Minato showed just how insane this jutsu is during the Third Great Ninja War. He threw his marked kunai all across the battlefield, turning the whole place into his personal playground. 1 second, he was standing in front of an entire squad. The next second, the whole squad was down, and no one even saw what happened. This isn't just about surprise attacks, it's about complete domination. Once you've been marked, running away becomes totally useless. You could escape to the ends of the world, and Minato would still appear right behind you with a Rasengan ready to end the fight. That's exactly why, whenever Minato showed up on the battlefield, the enemy would immediately retreat. Not because they were afraid to die, they're ninja, after all, and death is part of the job. But going up against the Yellow Flash, that was just a waste of lives. Even Raikage A, the man known as the fastest ninja of his generation, had to admit that Minato was on another level. In one fight, A used his max-level lightning chakra mode and still couldn't land a single hit. It was the moment when one legend had to respect another. This jutsu also has some powerful variations. Tobirama developed a version called Flying Thunder God Slash, focused entirely on instant kills. He would teleport right behind the enemy and strike a critical blow before they could even react. It was the perfect counter against fast opponents or those with Sharingan who could read movements. Minato, on the other hand, added a unique twist. He created a version that let him redirect enemy attacks to another location. Imagine someone throwing a massive fireball at him, and it just disappears, reappearing far out at sea before fading away. That's insane battlefield control. There's also a special team version used by Minato's guards. In this version, they form a circle around the target and perform a hand sign by touching their thumbs, middle fingers, and index fingers together. This lets them teleport themselves and everything inside the circle to a pre-marked location. Even Boruto has his own version of the technique. He uses teleportation by marking metal objects with his chakra ahead of time. Whenever he needs to, he can instantly move to wherever those items are, as long as they're within range. He chose metal because it conducts chakra really well, things like weapons, jewelry, or tools. The teleport works best when Boruto can clearly see the item. If it's too far away or looks like another object, it gets confusing. That's why Boruto created a bunch of custom metal items with unique shapes, so he can easily picture and teleport to them, even from a long distance. To be fair though, Boruto's version is still a bit clunky and not fully optimized yet, and this is exactly why Minato and Tobirama are still remembered as two of the greatest ninjas in history when it comes to speed. Kamoy. Here it is, the jutsu that turns you into a ghost no one can touch. A door to a separate dimension, totally controlled by the user alone. Picture this, you're fighting an enemy, your attack is about to land, but poof, they vanish like smoke. Then, suddenly, they show up right behind you. That's the power of Kamoy, the jutsu that helped turn Obito Uchiha into one of the scariest villains in the entire series. So, how does Kamoy work? It's actually pretty simple. It creates a swirling vortex of space that sucks things into a different dimension. This Kamoy dimension is a private, isolated world. Even chakra sensors can't detect anything inside it. And the wild part? Only Kamoy users can go in or out. If you get pulled in, you're completely cut off from the real world. Your fate is 100% in the user's hands. Obito used the Kamoy in his right eye mostly to teleport himself. He could warp his body into the Kamoy dimension, then reappear anywhere he wanted, instantly. Unlike Flying Thunder God, he didn't need to pre-mark a location, which made Kamoy way more flexible for movement, even if it wasn't the best for chasing or stealth attacks. But Obito's real power came from his ability to phase through attacks. He could shift parts of his body into the Kamoy dimension as things touched him. So any punch, blade, or jutsu would just go straight through him. You literally can't hurt someone you can't touch. That's why Obito was considered untouchable and unbeatable for such a long time. Of course, Kamoy isn't perfect. While phasing, Obito can't interact with things physically unless he touched them before. And most importantly, he has to become solid again to attack, which gives his enemies a small window to strike. Plus, the phasing ability only lasts about 5 minutes at a time. Kamoy is a special power of Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan, so anyone with his eye can use it too. Kakashi, who got Obito's left eye, used long-range Kamoy. He could create a space-time barrier around his target, then teleport them into the Kamoy dimension. At first, it was really hard for him to aim, but later he got crazy accurate, even teleporting projectiles in mid-air. But Kakashi had a big problem. Chakra drain? He's not an Uchiha, so using Kamoy took a ton of chakra, and it hurt his eye badly. Overusing it caused bleeding, blurry vision, and extreme fatigue. And yes, even Madara once used Kamoy. But come on, it's Madara. Chakra problems were nothing to him. The man slapped Obito's eye in and started using Kamoy like he'd been doing it for 10 years. Effortless, ruthless, legendary. Amenotejikara. First, let me make one thing super clear. Most space-time jutsu we know simply teleport the user from point A to point B. But Amenotejikara? Nope. This one is completely different. Kaguya doesn't teleport herself to a new location. She brings the entire world to her. Imagine standing on solid ground, and in a split second, the ground disappears. Suddenly, you're surrounded by boiling lava or trapped on a massive frozen glacier. That's Amenotejikara, a complete reality flip. Remember Kakashi's reaction the first time Kaguya used this move? He literally thought it was genjutsu because it was so sudden and unreal. Of course, this jutsu needs an insane amount of chakra. Let's be honest, only Kaguya, who has the chakra of the Shinju, God Tree, can actually pull it off. You can be as strong as Naruto or Sasuke, but if you've got normal human chakra, forget it. Now let's talk about how Kaguya uses this monster of a jutsu in battle. It's honestly the ultimate way to control everything around her. First, she can drop enemies into instant death traps. Remember when she teleported everyone high up into the lava dimension? Team 7 almost fell straight into a sea of fire. This isn't just basic movement. This is putting enemies in checkmate positions instantly. Next, she can completely lock people down. When she teleported Naruto and Sasuke into the ice dimension, all of their attacks were totally neutralized. She turns the environment into a weapon, and it shows just how crazy smart and tactical she is. In this battle, Kaguya made the rules. Reality got rewritten in the blink of an eye. You had zero time to adjust or plan. 1 second, you're standing on solid ground with high gravity, and the next, you're in a blazing hot desert. It's literally like the entire world is turning against you. But of course, no jutsu is perfect. Amenotejikara uses a ton of chakra, so even Kaguya will eventually get tired if she spams it too much. And here's a big limitation. She can't use it to escape alone. The jutsu affects everyone around her, so she can't use it for personal retreat or to teleport just a few people. To do that, she needs another jutsu, Yamotu Hiasaka. Yamotu Hiasaka. Imagine being able to rip through reality itself, like cutting open space with a blade, and then just walking through. That's Yamotu Hiasaka, a primordial power, terrifying and ancient, used by beings who literally shaped the ninja universe. This isn't your average jutsu. Yamotu Hiasaka is a Kikei Mora, a power from the Otsutsuki clan, and it's basically the original prototype for all other space-time jutsu. It works by opening cracks in space, as if you were slicing through fabric. And the range? Absolutely insane. Kaguya can use it to connect 2 points in the same dimension, or even travel between 6 different dimensions that she controls. That's why Team 7 felt like they were trapped in an endless shifting maze, because they literally were. In battle, Yamotu Hiasaka turns Kaguya into a living nightmare. She can appear anywhere, behind you, above you, or even worse. A single hand reaching out from nothing, grabbing you, and pulling you into a dark space abyss. That's exactly what Naruto and Sasuke had to deal with. The speed of Yamotu Hiasaka is no joke. The portals show up so fast that even Sasuke, with his Sharingan, was caught off guard. What does that mean? It means you're facing someone who can open death right in front of your face. That's why it took both of the Sage of Six Paths sons to stop Kaguya. Of course, no ability is flawless. If your reflexes are insanely sharp, you might be able to dodge the portals, but let's be real. If you need a Rinnegan just to survive, then it's barely a weakness. With Yamotu Hiasaka, the user becomes a ghost between dimensions, a predator who can appear from anywhere and vanish into nothingness. It creates this constant feeling that you're being hunted, a fear that you'll be dragged into a world you don't belong to. completely alone. Yeah, the power of beings who once ruled the stars hits on a different level. Daikoken. Alright, this one's a space-time jutsu used by Kawaki, and honestly, it's low-key terrifying. Just imagine being able to store anything in a place where time doesn't even exist. No aging, no decay, no changes. That's Daikoken, a personal storage space where you control time itself. The way it works is super simple, but deadly effective. First, Kawaki uses Sukunahikona to shrink anything, weapons, tools, even people, and then he sends it into this special dimension. Inside, time is completely frozen. A knife stays sharp forever. A bomb stays ready to explode forever. But here's the scary part. Kawaki can bring those things back instantly. You're in the middle of fighting him, focused, locked in, and then, boom, a giant weapon appears out of nowhere and crashes into you. There's no warning, no chakra signal. Even Sasuke with his Sharingan, and Naruto in Sage of Six Paths mode got caught off guard. That's how fast Daikoken is. It's almost impossible to react in time. This jutsu shows what it's like to literally control time. Kawaki doesn't just teleport. He bends time itself and uses it like a weapon. He can carry a whole invisible arsenal, ready to summon whenever he wants, to decide how and when the fight ends. It's like he's holding an entire world in the palm of his hand. Barrier, Toad Gourd Prison. Imagine you're just chilling, then suddenly a massive toad tongue wraps around you. In an instant, you're dragged into a completely different space. No allies, no escape, just you and your own private nightmare. That's exactly how Toad Gourd Prison works. This jutsu summons a gourd toad from Mount Myoboku, a strange magical creature with a body that's way bigger on the inside. When its tongue wraps around a target, it pulls them into a pocket dimension, totally separate from the outside world. Only the person who summoned it can enter or leave freely. Everyone else, completely trapped and isolated. You're cut off from your team, your support, even from the battlefield itself. Inside the gourd is a giant cave-like chamber with a lake of super corrosive acid. Anything that falls into it gets instantly dissolved. There are just a few small rock platforms sticking out, the only places you can stand. So, yeah, this place is crazy dangerous. In battle, this jutsu is perfect for taking out major threats. You can isolate the strongest enemy and turn a chaotic teamfight into a 1 versus 1 on your terms. It's a smart and deadly way to change the whole momentum of a fight. Hiding in a toad technique. You know, sometimes true power doesn't make a lot of noise. This jutsu is simple, but seriously effective. The user summons a special toad from Mount Myoboku, known as the diving toad, and hides inside its stomach. Yeah, it sounds kinda gross, but honestly, it's super practical. This toad can dive hundreds of meters underwater, and more importantly, its stomach has a special barrier that blocks chakra detection. That means you're not just hiding physically, you're completely invisible to chakra sensors too. This isn't an attack jutsu. It's a ninja tool for infiltration, escape, and survival. The kind of move used by people who know that sometimes not being seen is more powerful than being seen. Imagine needing to sneak into a high-security enemy base, full of advanced chakra detection systems, or maybe you need to vanish fast from a dangerous situation. Jiraiya used this technique to infiltrate Amigakure, but sadly, that mission didn't end well for him. Daikoken. Daikoken is the perfect example of something that's simple but extremely deadly. Just imagine this. You're in the middle of a fight, and suddenly, these huge black cubes come falling from the sky, heavy like mountains, crashing down with brutal force. It's like the whole world is collapsing on top of you. But the most terrifying part? Even Boruto's compressed Rasengan, one of his strongest attacks, couldn't even scratch them. Daikoken doesn't need flashy effects. It doesn't explode or glow. It just uses pure weight and insane durability to crush anything or anyone that gets in the way. If it falls on you, it's game over, instantly. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.